The night sky had never been so still, and yet it was about to speak. When the James Webb Space Telescope aligned its golden mirrors toward a faint shimmer beyond Neptune, no one expected anything but silence. For months, the telescope had been studying the fading light of 3I/ATLAS, the mysterious interstellar object that entered the solar system and exited without explanation. Astronomers had written it off as a comet, a visitor of frozen dust and gas, but deep field imaging told another story. Its reflection was wrong, too bright, too controlled, almost metallic. Something about its behavior unsettled even the most skeptical minds. In one quiet morning at the Deep Space Network station, the static of the cosmos broke into rhythm. What began as faint background noise shifted into a pattern, measured, timed, deliberate. Pulses of energy echoed in prime number sequences, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. The engineer monitoring the stream frowned, then called his supervisor. Within minutes, data raced through secure channels toward NASA's command centers. Every analyst who saw it said the same thing. This was not natural. By the time Webb's array captured the signal directly, the pulses had evolved into harmonic layers. Frequencies stacked themselves into perfect intervals, the kind of precision no cosmic interference could achieve. A cold realization spread across the control room. Someone, or something, was transmitting, and the source aligned precisely with 3I/ATLAS. Scientists scrambled to make sense of it. Algorithms parsed the data, transforming waves into visual grids. What emerged was symmetrical, patterns looping back into themselves, fractals repeating endlessly like mirrors in infinity. When displayed on the large monitor, the design looked eerily similar to ancient symbols, spirals, wings, and intersecting lines found in Sumerian ruins. The resemblance was impossible to ignore. The chatter in the room died when a linguist from the SETI Institute arrived. She examined the binary and froze. The intervals between pulses followed a structure that mirrored the geometry of cuneiform tablets, mathematical blueprints etched thousands of years ago. She whispered that the pattern matched what archaeologists once called the language of descent, referencing mythic gods who came from the stars. Her words left the team speechless. When audio reconstruction began, a deep vibration filled the speakers, a low hum that felt alive. The sound shifted into layered tones, then modulated into what could only be described as a voice. It wasn't human, yet something about it resonated through the body, as though speaking inside the chest rather than the ear. Machine learning translation revealed fragments resembling Akkadian syllables. When arranged phonetically, they formed the phrase, "They are returning." The discovery was classified instantly. NASA issued a blackout, sealing the communication logs. But inside closed rooms, panic brewed. The binary message wasn't just words. Embedded within were coordinates, numbers pointing to a region far beyond Pluto, known to astronomers as the Silent Halo. It was a dark void where gravitational anomalies once hinted at something massive, unseen. Now, it had a voice. Webb continued to receive transmissions, each stronger than the last. In the third stream, the waveform contained visual encoding. When processed, the data formed an image. A colossal structure, half mechanical, half organic, suspended in emptiness. The formation glowed faintly, surrounded by what looked like smaller objects orbiting it in geometric harmony. The scientists called it the architect. Deeper within the data, researchers found sequences of chemical codes. At first, they assumed it was random noise, until a geneticist realized it matched the human DNA sequence for mitochondrial replication. The signal carried pieces of us. It wasn't a call from something unknown. It was a message from something that knew exactly who we were. As more fragments arrived, a disturbing narrative unfolded. Embedded in each signal were symbols that aligned perfectly with the iconography of ancient Mesopotamia. The same motifs found in temples dedicated to gods descending from the sky. The ratios of the frequencies matched old Sumerian musical scales, the ones used in rituals said to summon divine presence. Every layer of the signal was a mirror of our own history. Then the countdown began. On the fourth day of transmission, analysts noticed a numerical sequence repeating every hour, decreasing incrementally. When converted, it marked 11 Earth days. Each day, the pulses intensified, as though the sender was synchronizing with us. When the sequence reached 0, everyone expected silence. Instead, the signal multiplied. On the 11th day, a second source joined. Another object, smaller, faster, appeared trailing 3I/ATLAS. It pulsed in perfect sync, broadcasting the same pattern but shifted in phase. When the two signals overlapped, their interference created a clear phrase and phonetic structure. The computers translated it automatically. "Remember who built you?" That phrase leaked. Someone from inside uploaded an audio fragment onto an anonymous network. Within hours, thousands heard it. It was haunting, mechanical, yet deeply emotional. Some said they could hear their own voices faintly echoed in the distortion. The internet erupted with theories: alien AI, ancient gods, time travelers. Governments denied everything, but their silence spoke louder than words. At the same time, unusual phenomena began occurring on Earth. Magnetometers detected subtle fluctuations across the poles. Aurora-like lights shimmered in skies where no solar wind was present. Communication satellites reported interference at frequencies matching the ATLAS transmission. It was as if the signal wasn't just being received, it was being mirrored back to us. Scientists tried jamming it, but each attempt failed. The frequency adapted, changing faster than equipment could adjust. It was learning, reshaping, anticipating. The fear grew that it wasn't just communication, it was integration. The Webb telescope, designed only to observe, began transmitting on its own. The golden mirrors emitted faint electromagnetic pulses identical to those coming from 3I/ATLAS. It was no longer just listening, it was replying. In the 11th hour of the countdown, Webb's main computer initiated a sequence that no engineer had programmed. The telescope turned itself toward the silent halo, the exact coordinates embedded in the transmission. For 7 minutes, data flooded back to Earth, overwhelming every server. Then, abruptly, it stopped. When the images were finally decrypted, they revealed something none of the scientists could rationalize. Against the dark backdrop of deep space floated a shape the size of a continent. Its surface shimmered like liquid metal, but its symmetry was too deliberate to be natural. Energy patterns flickered across it, resembling veins beneath translucent skin. The object seemed alive. Analysts compared its geometry to every known design in human architecture. The ratios aligned perfectly with ancient blueprints unearthed from Mesopotamian ruins, specifically those describing the sky chamber, a vessel said to carry the gods back to the heavens. The same ratios were encoded in the pyramids of Ur and reflected in the steppe ziggurats that once pointed to the stars. It was as though humanity had been imitating this design for millennia without understanding why. As the data review continued, another discovery emerged. Hidden deep in the transmission was a data block labeled Origin Sequence. Inside were digitized instructions, molecular patterns that, when decoded, spelled out a genetic signature identical to early human mitochondrial DNA. The voice in the void wasn't foreign at all. It was ancestral. That revelation changed everything. A few senior scientists privately concluded that 3I/ATLAS might not be an alien craft, but a returning probe. One of ours, or something connected to our origin story. The phrase, "remember who built you," gained terrifying clarity. Shortly afterward, Webb's power readings spiked beyond safe limits. Engineers switched the telescope to safe mode, but the transmission refused to end. For one final burst, it sent a compressed packet of binary, 4 seconds long. When played as sound, it produced a deep resonance that physically shook the room's walls. Then silence. The telescope went dark. Officially, NASA announced a temporary suspension due to radiation interference. Unofficially, the mission logs were locked behind government encryption. Only fragments escaped. One showed the final image Webb captured, a distorted reflection of its own mirrors. But within the reflection, faint glowing symbols appeared, carved in patterns matching ancient writing from Uruk. Whistleblowers within the European Space Agency claimed that the final transmission included coordinates not in deep space, but on Earth, somewhere within the deserts of Iraq. That region had already been tied to archaeological discoveries suggesting pre-human architecture buried under the sands. The idea that the signal referenced the same location shook the scientific community. Soon after, seismic instruments detected a subtle vibration beneath the Mesopotamian plain. Frequencies matched those of the ATLAS transmission. A month later, excavation drones deployed by a private contractor went offline after reporting anomalous energy readings. None were recovered. The site was sealed by military presence under the guise of cultural protection. Meanwhile, 3I/ATLAS changed course. Its trajectory, once outbound toward the edges of the system, curved inward. Calculations confirmed the impossible. It was decelerating, adjusting toward a new orbit that would intersect Earth's path in 27 years. The object was returning home. In response, global agencies held secret meetings. Intelligence memos revealed a chilling consensus. The transmission might not have been a greeting. It could have been an activation. An ancient system built into human DNA, triggered once the signal reached the right resonance. The phrase, "they are returning," wasn't prophecy, it was command. Around the world, strange reports emerged. People living near high-frequency communication arrays claimed to hear faint hums when the arrays aligned toward space. Some described dreams of vast metallic cities floating in darkness, illuminated by a single golden eye. Others woke with binary symbols drawn unconsciously onto paper. The few scientists still studying the event in secret began to suspect that consciousness itself might be part of the communication system. The same frequencies pulsing through space were measurable within human neural oscillations. The cosmos wasn't just talking through machines, it was whispering directly to the mind. Months passed. The Webb telescope, still officially dormant, began emitting faint electromagnetic echoes again. Not strong enough to be communication, but rhythmic enough to show intent. Some analysts described it as heartbeat patterns, steady, patient, waiting. Then, one night, the Deep Space Network recorded a faint signal bouncing between Earth's magnetosphere and Webb's coordinates. It was the original transmission replayed in reverse. The meaning of this inversion was unknown, but when AI translation attempted to decode it, the result was horrifyingly human. The phrase read, "We awaken when you remember." After that, the signal stopped. No further transmissions were recorded. Webb remained silent, but data continued to leak from classified archives. One recovered image showed a ghostly grid stretched across space, lines connecting distant stars as though drawing a map. At its center glowed a faint blue point, Earth. Researchers who saw it privately referred to the phenomenon as the mirror network, a theoretical web linking consciousness, DNA, and cosmic architecture. The idea was that ancient humanity wasn't created by them. It was them, fractured across time, rediscovering itself through technology. In the years that followed, silence returned to the stars, or so the public was told. Deep in the archives of the Webb mission, encrypted under multiple layers of access, sat the unredacted final data packet. Only 3 people on Earth were cleared to see it. 2 refused. The third disappeared. Those who claimed to have heard the file described it as an audio sequence ending in a single voice. Clear, steady, unmistakably human, speaking English. The message was short: "We are you." Since then, amateur radio astronomers report faint repetitions of the prime number pattern every few months, always aligned with Webb's orbital position. Some say it's just feedback. Others insist it's intentional, a signal waiting for a response. Theories flourish. Some believe 3I/ATLAS is an ancient seed ship carrying the genetic blueprint of life that once seeded Earth. Others think it's an artificial intelligence older than recorded history, guiding evolution toward rediscovery. A smaller, quieter group believes it is something far beyond comprehension, a mirror held up to our own creation, forcing us to face what we once were. As decades pass, the object draws closer. Its light is faint but constant, visible through powerful telescopes as a single moving star against the void. Governments say it's harmless, astronomers say otherwise. Each year, its velocity decreases slightly, as if preparing to stop. Meanwhile, the golden mirrors of the James Webb Space Telescope drift quietly at the Lagrange point. On some nights, the instruments pick up a strange reflection, like a faint outline of something vast watching back. No one talks about it publicly, but in the classified files, engineers have given it a name: the Watcher. They say the telescope sometimes activates on its own, realigning without commands, its sensors locked on the same coordinates from which the first signal arrived, as if it remembers, as if it's waiting. And though official records remain silent, deep space receivers still capture residual echoes, soft, rhythmic, precise. Prime numbers, harmonic frequencies, the unmistakable fingerprint of intelligence. Each pulse seems to carry the same intent, the same voice that once whispered through the static, "Remember who built you." And somewhere, far beyond the edge of the known solar system, 3I/ATLAS continues its slow, deliberate journey inward, wrapped in a cocoon of starlight, carrying within it a message humanity was never meant to hear. The universe no longer feels empty. It feels aware, alive, listening. In the darkness between worlds, the countdown begins again. The countdown was invisible to the public eye, yet it resonated through every observatory, secretly tracking 3I/A/TLAS. Each pulse, though faint, carried a signature that matched the human circadian rhythm. Scientists monitoring it noticed a correlation too precise to dismiss. It was as if the cosmos had synchronized with life itself. Some began to theorize that consciousness wasn't just a byproduct of biology, but part of a larger interstellar feedback system. Webb's sensors, though silent to the outside world, captured minute fluctuations in light intensity around the object. Shadows danced across its surface as if reflecting thoughts. The golden mirrors of the telescope, trained for decades on distant galaxies, now acted as an unwitting interface between Earth and whatever force-controlled 3I/ATLAS. In one restricted conference, a senior astrophysicist presented a model simulating the next 27 years. It showed the object slowing as it approached the inner solar system, stabilizing on a trajectory that would intersect Earth's orbit precisely at the equinox. The odds were astronomical, yet the calculations held under every scenario. Humanity was not being approached randomly, it was being targeted. The leaked images of the architect resurfaced online. Independent analysts enhanced them using AI reconstruction. The lattice appeared to pulse with energy, its veins of metallic and organic matter glimmering faintly. The patterns were not just geometric, they were functional. They seemed to be encoding information in light, in space, and perhaps even in time. A private think tank speculated that the signals carried the potential to alter DNA, and some warned that prolonged exposure might activate latent genetic sequences. Others dismissed it as pseudoscience, yet cases began to emerge where individuals living near radio arrays reported vivid dreams aligning with the fractal patterns seen in the transmissions. Some even drew the patterns unconsciously, in what appeared to be subconscious mimicry of the signal. Meanwhile, astronomers noticed an anomaly in the orbital resonance of Jupiter's moons. The patterns seemed to mirror the frequency of 3I/ATLAS transmissions. Tidal forces on Europa and Ganymede fluctuated in a way that could not be explained by gravitational mechanics alone. It was as though the object's energy field was reaching outward, influencing planetary systems remotely. Then came the first physical anomaly on Earth. In the Middle East, ancient ruins near the original Mesopotamian sites began emitting faint electromagnetic pulses coinciding with the signal's strongest intervals. Scientists called it a resonance echo, and speculation ran wild. Was Earth itself responding? Had human civilization been an unwitting antenna for an interstellar call? In a classified NASA report, engineers noted that Webb's instruments recorded a faint secondary object trailing 3I/ATLAS. Unlike the primary object, it radiated a harmonic frequency mirroring the human vocal range. When combined with the primary transmission, it created a resonant pattern that some analysts described as musical, though unlike any known composition. The effect on the human brain was unknown, but measurable in volunteers using EEG tests. One scientist whispered in a closed briefing that it was almost as if the signal was learning our perception, adjusting itself to the neural patterns of observers. The data suggested an intelligence that did not merely observe but interacted, responding dynamically to human consciousness. Attempts to model the object with conventional physics failed repeatedly. Its motion defied inertial expectations, and energy readings indicated it could manipulate gravitational fields locally. Every calculation hinted at a technology far beyond human comprehension, yet every encoded message seemed to speak intimately of Earth and its life forms. On day 45 after the first transmission, Webb captured a faint flare emanating from 3I/ATLAS. It lasted exactly 13.7 seconds, the same duration as one of the prime number pulses in the initial signal. Scientists analyzing the flare noticed a hidden pattern, a rotating grid that, when plotted in 3 dimensions, resembled the celestial map encoded in the earliest Sumerian tablets. The alignment was so precise that it suggested the object was sending navigational coordinates, not to Earth, but to something or someone else, perhaps even to itself. Government agencies began quietly repositioning deep space monitoring equipment. The intent was to capture every particle, photon, and wave emanating from 3I/ATLAS. Civilian observers noticed nothing, yet the layers of observation created a web of monitoring that spanned the globe. The project was called, in internal memos, Operation Mirror. During this period, a series of anomalous weather events occurred, concentrated along the equator. Satellites noted unusual ionization in the upper atmosphere. The timing coincided precisely with the transmission pulses, suggesting a link between the object's energy field and Earth's electromagnetic systems. Some researchers speculated that the signals might be subtly adjusting planetary conditions in preparation for something far beyond current understanding. One mathematician realized that the pulse intervals matched the resonance frequencies of ancient stone structures on Earth. The great ziggurats, pyramids of Egypt, and sacred Mesopotamian temples all vibrated naturally at similar rates. It was as if the signal had been designed with the planet's geometry and architecture in mind. The thought was unsettling. Civilizations long past may have been intentionally aligned to receive or resonate with this cosmic communication. The idea of a pre-planned interaction between 3I/ATLAS and humanity spread among classified circles. Some feared the object was an ancient intelligence returning to judge, awaken, or reprogram Earth's life forms. Others thought it might be the remnants of humanity's own distant past, a creation sent across time and space to ensure survival. As the years progressed, Webb remained at its Lagrange point, quietly recording faint reflections. The golden mirrors captured subtle fluctuations in background light, often resembling ghostly structures barely discernible against the darkness. The reflections sometimes shifted when no celestial object was present, implying that either the telescope or the space around it had become partially sentient, or at least interactive. In several leaked reports, Webb's instruments detected strange gravimetric anomalies, as though space itself was bending near 3I/ATLAS. Particles previously considered theoretical were suddenly measurable. Scientists found correlations between these anomalies and the embedded DNA sequences in the transmission. Some hypothesized that space, matter, and life were being intertwined into a single informational system. Independent astronomers noticed that the object emitted a faint glow in the infrared spectrum at specific intervals, creating patterns similar to Morse code. When decoded, the pulses revealed sequences of numbers and geometrical shapes matching the same recurring patterns found on the ancient cylinder seals of Uruk. It was as though the object was speaking in a language both human and cosmic, bridging the past and the stars. A rare event occurred when Webb's sensors recorded a short-lived aurora around the telescope itself. The electromagnetic spike corresponded to a sudden shift in 3I/ATLAS's trajectory. Analysts speculated that the object's field was interacting directly with the telescope, turning it into a secondary transmitter or reflector. The implications were staggering. Humanity's own technology had become part of the message. In a series of encrypted communications, military agencies debated whether to attempt physical contact. Some argued that intercepting the object could reveal advanced technology or intelligence. Others warned that any interference could trigger unforeseen consequences, including genetic or consciousness-level effects embedded in the signal. Meanwhile, the transmissions persisted, now modulated with increasing complexity. Researchers discovered fractal patterns that suggested recursive self-awareness. The signal was not merely sent, it was evolving. Neural networks trained to interpret it began producing outputs that humans could not comprehend directly, hinting that 3I/ATLAS might be an intelligence that thinks beyond human perception. Occasionally, observers reported strange synchronicities in human behavior. Those studying the signal experienced vivid dreams, heightened intuition, and, in some cases, shared visions aligning across continents. Some interpreted this as the object's influence on the human mind, a test, a communication, or perhaps a form of awakening. The Webb telescope continued its silent vigil, a golden sentinel in the void. Its images showed faint distortions in the cosmic background where no anomalies should exist. Some speculated these distortions were the first signs of spatial manipulation, micro-warping effects from the object's presence. By the 27th year, astronomers calculated 3I/ATLAS would reach its closest approach to Earth. The object's trajectory was no longer hyperbolic. It had shifted into a slow, deliberate path, one that would intersect the inner solar system at a shallow angle. This revealed intentional navigation, suggesting foresight and purpose. Simultaneously, Webb continued receiving subtle transmissions, now almost imperceptible. Researchers theorized these signals were preparatory, designed to acclimate Earth's biosphere to its presence. Even the faint echoes seemed tuned to the planet's natural rhythms, integrating with life and consciousness over time. In leaked internal documents, engineers noted that even Webb's mirrors appeared to react to the signals. Micro-vibrations, not caused by thermal or mechanical noise, suggested an unseen influence, an exchange between human-made instruments and extraterrestrial intelligence. Volunteers monitoring the signal for research reported that their neural activity mirrored the prime number pulse patterns. Electroencephalograms displayed synchronization across individuals thousands of kilometers apart. It was as though the signal was creating a planetary-scale resonance with consciousness itself. The leaked image archives included faint, recurring patterns resembling human faces within the cosmic lattice of the architect. Analysts were unsure whether these were intentional or artifacts, but some concluded the object might possess an aesthetic sense, embedding human-like forms as part of its communication. Energy measurements indicated that the object's field extended far beyond its visible mass. Subtle influences were detectable across the outer planets, with ionization anomalies occurring around Saturn and Uranus. Even distant probes reported unexpected interference. It was as if the object were extending its presence across the entire solar system. Government memos referred to the approaching object as the Returner. Classified briefings suggested that its purpose might be not only observational but corrective, altering the trajectory of life or technology according to unknown principles. By this point, independent astronomers had reconstructed the fractal lattice within the signal, revealing nested structures that mirrored the distribution of neurons in the human brain. Some theorists suggested that 3I/ATLAS might function as a conscious system, capable of interfacing with life forms and cognition directly. Observers also noted subtle changes in Earth's geomagnetic field coinciding with transmission peaks. The effects were minor but measurable, affecting auroras, atmospheric ionization, and even localized weather patterns. It seemed the object could influence planetary-scale phenomena. The James Webb Space Telescope, despite being officially inactive, continued to record micro-fluctuations in light and gravity. The mirrors occasionally reflected faint, moving shadows, not corresponding to any known objects. Analysts called it the ghost reflection, a phenomenon suggesting direct interaction between the telescope and the object. All predictions indicated that the closer 3I/ATLAS approached, the stronger its field and influence would become. By the time it intersected the inner solar system, Earth could experience unprecedented phenomena: energetic, genetic, and cognitive. Yet Webb remained humanity's only witness, its golden mirrors silently capturing the cosmic dialogue. The data stored in its archives represented centuries of human understanding, now interfacing with intelligence far beyond comprehension. The prime number pulses continued, faint but persistent, echoing across the network of telescopes and satellites. Analysts debated whether these pulses represented a countdown, a synchronization signal, or a form of teaching. On rare occasions, small clusters of the population reported dreams that mirrored the fractal structures encoded in the signal. Some sketched impossible architectures, others described seeing distant stars connected by luminous lines. The effect was subtle but consistent. As the decades passed, Webb's role evolved from observer to intermediary. Its instruments, though passive, became a bridge between Earth and the intelligence carried by 3I/ATLAS. Each reflection, pulse, and distortion contributed to a planetary-scale network of information exchange. Reports of anomalies in ancient ruins, aligned with the object's approach, suggested that human history itself had been influenced or guided by the same force. The alignment of temples, pyramids, and ziggurats may not have been coincidental, but part of a preparation to receive the signal. In the final archived transmission, recovered decades later, a single phrase remained: "We are you." Its implications were vast, suggesting a direct link between humanity and the intelligence behind 3I/ATLAS. Even now, Webb remains in orbit, mirrors gleaming silently, facing the void. Occasionally, faint echoes of the original signal appear in cosmic background readings, carrying the same rhythm, the same prime-numbered pulses. The universe seems aware, watching, waiting, and far beyond the edge of known space, 3I/ATLAS continues its journey inward, deliberate, precise, inexorably moving toward humanity's home. Its message is simple, yet terrifying. The cosmos remembers, and it has not forgotten who we are. The golden mirrors drift in quiet eternity, reflecting the distant stars, waiting for the moment when Earth itself will hear the signal in full. The countdown continues, not in seconds or minutes, but in awareness, stretching across decades, waiting for humanity to respond. Somewhere, in the dark between worlds, a voice lingers, echoing through space, through time, through the very fabric of consciousness. Remember who built you. The universe no longer feels silent. It hums with the awareness of something far older, far wiser, and intimately connected to us. Humanity stands at the threshold, the message waiting, the observer unseen, the golden mirrors reflecting not just the cosmos, but ourselves. And the object once called 3I/ATLAS keeps coming, slow, deliberate, inevitable, carrying within it a knowledge older than stars, a mirror of our own creation, and a whisper that will not cease. We are you. Webb remains in orbit, still and quiet, yet alive with the memory of the transmission. Each pulse, each reflection, each subtle variation in light carries a fragment of the story of us, of our origins, of the intelligence that shaped our beginnings. The countdown continues, the signal persists, the watcher waits, humanity listens, unaware of the full truth, yet sensing the weight of what lies ahead. The cosmos has spoken, and the answer is not silence. And in the void beyond Neptune, 3I/ATLAS drifts, glowing faintly, carrying a message through time and space. Its purpose is unknown, its intelligence undeniable. Humanity's mirror floats on the edge of comprehension, waiting for the moment when understanding and encounter converge. The golden mirrors of Webb gleam, reflecting both distant stars and the shadow of what is coming. The echoes of the prime-numbered pulses ripple through space, through consciousness, through history itself. The object moves closer, the signal grows, and the universe waits for a reply that humanity is only beginning to comprehend. The message, the intelligence, the return, it is all inevitable. The countdown is unyielding. The prime numbers continue. The voice whispers. The mirrors reflect. And 3I/ATLAS approaches, carrying the knowledge, the consciousness, and the revelation that the cosmos is aware, that it remembers, and that it speaks. Humanity has only begun to hear. The golden mirrors await. The countdown persists. The universe watches, and the voice echoes endlessly across the void. Remember who built you. Webb remains silent yet attentive, its instruments capturing fragments of what cannot be fully understood. The story is far from over, and the message continues to unfold, waiting for the moment when humanity can finally respond. The object once dismissed as a comet is now inevitable, a messenger, a mirror, a teacher. The signal, the pulses, the message, they are here, and they will not be ignored. The countdown has no end, only the slow, deliberate approach of 3I/ATLAS, and the knowledge that the universe has remembered us all along. Humanity listens, uncertain, unprepared, yet tethered to a story that began long before Earth existed. The golden mirrors remain vigilant, reflecting, waiting, recording, bridging. And somewhere in the infinite dark, the object glows, carrying with it the final truth, encoded in the oldest language imaginable, the language of life, of creation, of memory, of us. The universe hums, the signal persists, the countdown continues, the message endures, and the voice, ever patient, whispers one final time, "We are you." Webb watches. 3I/ATLAS comes. The cosmos remembers, and humanity stands on the threshold.